Welcome to Exploring AI Frontiers with Coastal 7. As a global AI consulting firm blending agentic AI and human centered design, we are building the next generation of autonomous agents and quantum aligned strategy with deep human centric design ethos. Through our proprietary AI products, customized solutions, and strategic AI consulting, we help organizations undergo full scale AI led digital transformation, turning static operations into agile intelligent systems. Today, for this webinar session, we are thrilled to welcome Prasoon Nigam, CTO and co founder of Stratbeans Learning Solutions, as our guest, and he will insightfully give us information on how to successfully scale AI products in the learning and development space. Prasoon brings over 20 years of experience in technology leadership, journeying from the IIT to Synopsys R&D and to his current role in driving innovation at Stratbeans. As the CTO, he has spearheaded Bytecasting LMS, an AI-powered platform transforming corporate training across the globe. Welcome to the session, Prasoon. We are very happy to have you.
Hey, Tejaswini, thanks a lot for inviting me to this session.
Very happy to have you here. So, Prasoon, maybe with 20 years of experience in the industry, can you tell us what initially motivated you to, explore and develop AI-powered learning solutions, or even have this interest in AI?
Oh, I was thoroughly lucky, the world or the universe moved me towards AI, I would say.
Right?
So going back, really back when this is around year 2000, when I was in my campus. So I was lucky enough to do a lot of very good courses in AI from, I think, best professors, at that time. So they explained a lot of good concepts. So, and they explained it in a way which was very interesting to me. And I remember my professor used to tell that AI is a moving frontier. So these were the punchlines he had, and that was the whole course about to understand these vocabulary.
This was 20
So
years.
yes, a
Right.
moving frontier. It's like 20 years back. It's still a moving frontier. Every morning you wake up, another new thing has come. So it's a
Yes.
continuously moving frontier. And then during campus, because I was a student in AI, I did my project. And again, I got a very, so this is a AI based, webinar. So let's use that terminology. So there's something known as reinforcement learning,
Right.
which is a very key thing. So I got reinforced a lot because some of the projects that I did, I got awarded. So I thought, man, this is a good stuff. So long back, I attempted creating a image search engine. This is 2000 when there were no image search engines.
Right.
So good enough for a college project, but at that time TCS recognized it, rewarded me. So that was my story, which kind of drifted me. Ki, wow, AI is cool. I must be in
Mm.
this. So that is how it
Right.
started. And then I again another lucky streak. I went into Synopsys, which is a cutthroat compiler design computer science based company, and I was part of very elite performance optimization team.
Mm-hmm.
Our job was to really make this processor verification run very fast, so I got to
Right.
learn a lot of computer science concepts there. So that again fueled a lot of algorithms I learned, which helped me later on when I started my company. So I think, but since the session is not about me really, but since you started with that, so that's the flavor of where my love for AI came.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started my company, which is about 15 years back, then I got a huge opportunity because if you are in, in learning development space, there's a huge opportunity things that you can do.
Right.
I would quote one little story, Tejaswini. As you
Please.
told, the audience is also pretty young, and it's a very fun story. So the first project we got from our firm was that they had this system where they wanted a question to be posed. Let's say they will say, ki, who won, let's say, Miss India contest in this year, imagine. And one has to give an answer, not in an objective type format, but open free field. So one has to
Right.
type it. And the problem with typing, is that people make mistakes. So if suppose you have to write Aishwarya Rai, there will be, 10 million possible spelling people will put. So they wanted a system which was resistant to that kind of change, more like a spell, what spell checkers do to you, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So I remember we prepared something. We did our coding. We went to this gentleman's room. He was a senior vice president there,
Right.
and I showed him, like, this is what you wanted. So he answered something and incorrectly, and then he looked at me and says, "Wait a second." He then calls his buddies to his room, and he says, "Look here, I'm putting this answer, and it is coming. It's like, isn't it cool?" I was very happy. I was shining. And then he cutely asked me, "Is it AI?"
Hmm.
Actually, it was not an AI, but I didn't want to break his heart. I said, "Yeah, it's AI."
Right.
It was a regular Levenstein distance problem for all the tech folks. It's regular dynamic programming. But the joy that I saw, ki if somebody looks at this thing and they think it's a magic, I thought, this is the field I want to work in. So yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's how I was kind of drifted in this direction. Yeah,
It kind of sparked your interest.
yeah, yeah.
So, you spoke about your journey from IIT to Synopsys to currently at Stratbeans, leading the AI powered L&D and stuff. So, what kind of principles from your early R&D days do still guide your approach to scaling tech in the current company?
So I think uh, so AI word has been kind of um, overemphasized these days. Actually, it's a software. So
Hmm.
all the challenges that you were facing when you were making good software still remains. Like, some of the things like you asked Tejaswini, that I learned as a young engineer, and it was eye opening. Yo, man, this is how the world works. So the
Hmm.
first thing I learned when it comes to designing the product is that you should not be you know the punchline was that premature optimizations are root to all evil. I'll kind of make it simpler, which means that sometimes people go ahead with making a software, but they kind of over engineer it because they love technology so much that they totally forget that time is ticking and you have to give this out at a reasonable. So that's the first thing I learned, that you don't have to over optimize things. So if you, let's say, you're making an agentic pipeline, I mean,
Hmm.
don't go ahead and just make everything perfect and wait for this. People in tech, the the bug and feature are same. The biggest feature is that we love technology, but then we'll jump from one thing to another because next morning Sam Altman is on TV and tells you about this thing, so you leave everything, pack your bags, and go towards the newer thing. So the one thing is you have to really be quite consistent for the things that you have signed up for. The technology, don't keep drifting, don't keep changing your tech stack. That was another big temptation, and I've learned. And then I learned that boys program and men maintain and test. You
Hmm.
know, but the world looks ulta. Because
Elaborate that.
everybody likes to code. I like to code. I don't like to maintain. But dude, if you can maintain your code, that means you have respect for what you have written. It's like you're not flushing your things away, right? It's
Right.
you have to respect that. So boys program, men maintain and test. So that was been my grounding.
Right.
My leaders taught me about it, and this is what I propagate to my team, that your QA, your testing engines, they're very important, because if you don't do it now, they'll
Yeah.
bite you at the wrong time. So yeah,
Hmm.
so I think those were, and the last one quickly, time to market. So
Hmm.
my boss comes
Yeah.
in to my cabin and he says, Prasoon, TTM is getting affected. It was the first time. I was an engineer of 1 year experience. I said, what is TTM? Then he told me it is time to market. So that I learned you don't have to create the best software like the in the purest form. Just make it reasonable and ship it. So yeah,
Hmm.
those were some of the things that I remember.
Right. So, Prasun, you mentioned two, three very important and interesting points. The first being about, you don't have to perfect the product. Like you keep testing, but you release it, you give the version out for people to try and test it. And then the other one is the time to market or the go to market strategy, which has to align with the product, right? So in small companies there is always this there are challenges when it comes to testing and building and then aligning it with the time to market, right? So in your company, can you tell me what kind of challenges or uh, did you face when you were in this phase of the products?
So traditionally, by design, Indian engineers versus, let's say, and I'm making that comparison with keeping training and quality in mind, like that kind of a disclaimer. So
Yeah.
idea is not to be emotional, but to see learn from each other in terms of various. So what I have worked with developers of different nationalities,
Mm-hmm.
it, especially with Indian context. Um, though I know the audience here may be from different geographies, but I
Mm-hmm.
just want to land the point that the basic challenge that you face is how do you first assemble everything together to make something. You are a small company, you may not have all the tools and technology and best folks. So really to gather something and put in place is challenge number one. One
Mm-hmm.
has to go through that suffering. I don't see, because if you're not want to go that, I mean, then why did you choose entrepreneurship? You go and back to your nice lovely jobs.
Correct.
Second step is that you have to bring in a culture. So problem is that if the boss, if the technology head is not doing, if you go ahead and you start writing test cases, it becomes inspiring. And if you just tell people ki dude, just you have to do it, so they feel you have given the lowest order of the job. So
Mm.
for me, luckily, because I was groomed with that kind of so I would write test cases. I would like to, still till date, I am the guy who chases people if the test case is not written, as opposed to if new features coming in. My excitement is that are you testing it enough? So I think it's more cultural, and leaders sometimes have to leave their warm seat and really go and do the job. I also am a very hands-on techie,
Mm-hmm.
because that allows you to understand what's happening.
Correct.
um, we do delegate, but remaining in the, this whole software is all about putting your hands into the system. So
Correct.
at least I follow that strategy. It may not be best, but it works for me. Reasonably well, it has worked. So I feel some of you may actually benefit from it as well.
Right. Okay. So, going a little off topic, I mean, we were discussing about, traveling and our love for traveling together. And I know that you travel a lot. So, how have your global experiences shaped your perspective on AI product development or AI in general? Uh, the whole perspective.
So I think you have been, like we were discussing, a better traveler than me. You've done a lot of adventure sports also. I haven't as much, but with whatever comfortable travels that I have done, and some places where I have not traveled, but I have heard a lot of good folk stories there. So for me, one of the major shift in my eye-opening moment, like for
Mm-hmm.
most of us, is when we visit US. So my first US visit, and everything was as if I'm coming from some other universe, and this is very
Mm-hmm.
advanced universe. I loved it. Uh, of course, their economy is much richer than us, so that is inspiring in a
Right.
certain way. But then when I went, I saw cultural differences. I won't say that one was bigger than other, but idea is that if we have to improve ourselves, we just have to find those deltas of improvement rather than thinking ki what is Indian, what is. So I saw that once these engineers were working, they were spending enough time discussing and planning. Uh,
Right.
and as opposed to jumping on the code and figuring out. So there was good amount of patience in doing high level design. HLD documents were written, which were boring when I started off with that, but that was the upgrade I got. You have to do the right way. You have to write something down, design, discuss. Your hands are itching to code, hold it. So that is one kind of thing that I saw in software world. People who
Mm-hmm.
spend enough time designing,
Right.
uh, they really do well generally, and they are in a certain way of saying they're smarter in a certain way, irrespective of where they are from.
Hmm.
Second, that I saw internationally, that adoption of technology, people invest a lot of money in, rather than they're building everything, they may buy. So if you see
Hmm.
most of these advanced economy, they are more buy oriented. With
Right.
our Indian psyche, because we all have been through a certain middle class kind of a setup, for us this buy decision sometimes come later. We want to build everything, and we may take a lot of time.
Hmm.
Not to say one is greater than other. Sometimes your building is great because you learn yourself, but to take the right decision when to buy, when to build is very important. When to acquire, when to build it internally. So that's one thing. Japan amazed me because you go everywhere. This is again really back 10 years or more, and the doors are automatically opening up even in small shops. So rather than AI, I would say the awe of technology was
Yeah.
enforced when I traveled. And
Mm-hmm.
now when I look at, so I don't travel, I have never not traveled to China as much, but the advancement that I see, and I hope those reels that I see are real, assuming that. I mean, they are very advanced in certain things. The kind of they have drones to deliver various things and all that. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, we should look up to these things and get inspired. Local travel. I mean, when you internationally travel, a lot of these inspiration do happen. Tejaswini, you are right. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. That was interesting. So, with your experience in tech, how does the background in cloud computing influence your approach to AI development today? Like, you mentioned you are a hands-on techie. So, uh, many AI firms today may not have that kind of tech expertise or hands-on people, but still are trying to figure out. So, how has your journey and that influence of a strong tech background been?
So, interesting part here is that the way to understand it is that hardware is the body. When you say cloud computing, all these are nothing but providers of hardware, the body, and software is the soul. Okay. Now, if you see to make software is easier, and to really get your hardware, because there's a lot of cost involved with that.
Right.
Now, see the whole progression of how things have moved with AWS coming in and this cloud computing. Suddenly, it was more accessible now. Otherwise, one has to buy rack servers. The
Right.
capacities were not utilized. But it's really long back. I think. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, so capacities were not utilized. Then the whole cloud computing came in. Now you have this shared resource. You as much you use, you are paying. Now to address you again, AI or without AI, the problems were same. For example, build versus buy in certain cases. Should
Yeah.
you own a rack server? Should you buy a GPU? If you're talking
Mm.
AI, then it is GPU. Should
Mm.
you go for where should you buy your GPU from, or would you even worry about GPU? You
Mm.
know, so those are the decisions we have to take, and there's no universal answer to it. It depends on the context. Then you have this cost of infrastructure thing.
Yeah. Correct.
So there are companies, they bleed a lot on AWS or such platform because there is a lot of premium attached, and sometimes people are not able to use it effectively, and they land up into huge bills, and they make Mr. Jeff Bezos the trillionaire he is, thanks to all of us, even me, my firm. So we all have contributed him to be there. So the cost of infrastructure is important, especially in AI. I mean, sometimes you may not know how many tokens you have used. We recently had a kind of a small accident in our team wherein somebody uploaded so many tokens and we had no control at that particular application, and
Mm-hmm.
we all the credit were exhausted. Not a huge loss, but it's an interesting thing to look at as a CTO. Important thing to create some metering again for people who are in AI. All your tick tokens you have to really keep measuring, that you're not
Correct.
overspending.
Yeah.
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 So I think these are decisions when it comes to the hardware side of it, the cloud aspect of it, and then there are layers of technologies which are same. There are a lot of providers, there are a lot of technologies that are available, which is very specific to LLM problems.
Right.
Interestingly, Tejaswini, you're gonna see a lot of revolution on two dimension. One is that Nvidia has put its flag, and
Correct.
it's like monopoly there. But there are certain type of chips that are being designed now, which are kind of designed so that these basic operations, they may be
Mm-hmm.
better for AI problems than a GPU. So those are the
Right.
things to watch out for. And then on a
Mm-hmm.
little far off distance, quantum computing, which is still little away. It is more in the realm of physics right now, but those are the things that'll be very interesting. It's already a crazy world. I don't know what will happen when quantum comes in. I don't want to imagine it even,
Right.
but
I,
yeah.
I, I totally get what you're saying with respect to the cloud infrastructure and stuff, the costs, because that is some one challenge we face too.
Yeah.
So now going into the AI innovation that we are talking about, um, how do you balance the rapid need for AI innovation, given that there's so much happening around us, and then especially in learning platforms like the one that you are doing right now, the bytecasting LMS? How do you do that while also understanding your priorities and the need for stability, and to also produce the enterprise grade products at that level?
So So your question is about basically balance. How do you create a balance when you are, how do you keep a stability, in your enterprise grade products? So see, the basic principles still remain same. Like it is said that Newtonian three principles still hold for every physics problem. It all kind of traces back to same rules.
Hmm.
So again, AI is not a new thing. It's just a piece of software which has come, which is very exciting, and it is shaking all us up. And it's very fun technology and very scary at the same time. So let's talk about the fun and the scary part both, right? So let's address the scary part. We have been talking about it. The scary part is that the guardrail world. So you don't want AI to spit out something and present it to your customer, something where they can hold your collar.
Correct.
Now this goes back to even OpenAI. I saw Sam Altman's interview 2 weeks back, and he was questioned ki, how do you take care of guardrail, and he was even with disclaimer that it's all that you don't want a huge accident, but accident will happen. Then you will sharpen your guardrail. There is no easy way. That's like how we have grown. Suppose our moms would have said ki, I just want to keep my baby safe, not even a single scratch. So the practical answer is ki, there will be accidents, but you don't want fatal accidents. So
Correct.
let's address how not to have fatal accident if you're a small firm.
Hmm.
So step number one for me would be watch your costs. You know, so you don't want to be losing all your important assets.
Right.
In terms of the cost, which holds true for AI because sometimes you may not know how the user may use it. You may not have created enough protection and setup for that.
Yeah.
Second is that if that is covered, like the existential issues, then go to the next thing. Keep it secure. Use the same principles,
Mm-hmm.
but just like SQL had SQL injections and these kind of concept, now you have prompt injections. So at least while you enjoy the joys of writing prompts, do spend some time doing the boring job of looking at what kind of prompt injection happen. And if you don't have time for it, at least look for libraries which can stop prompt injections. You bring that, because if you don't do it now and you just bask in joy, you will have problems later, costly
Right.
problems.
Right.
uh, Going to more better ones, so these were the scariest. Better ones would be that have some kind of a testing setup, have an observability setup. So what AI is spitting sometimes could be anything, right? Which is the
Yeah.
power of it, and that's the so have some system which can measure
Hmm.
your output quality. There are a lot of observability system already available. There
Mm-hmm.
are good systems we make use of. um, then you have to do get your QA teams involved, human in the loop kind of a setup.
Hmm.
If you know this terminology, I'm sure the audience here would know that. If not, this is a good keyword to ask GPT what it is, human in the loop. And then that's it. Then enjoy now the good parts. The scaries are done. Then the good part is that when it comes to so if you see the basic revolution with generative has been these two clusters. Cluster
Hmm.
number one, where you generate text, you generate audio and video. So
Hmm.
these are good for marketing firms, companies which are generating e-learning content. You know, I see them as a nice output. But the revolution has been the code GPT part, wherein you
Correct.
are generating code.
Hmm.
So I benefit a lot internally by using all these platforms like Cursor and such technologies. And I'm very happy that we worked together with the team, and we
Mm-hmm.
were able to reach 4x output we get from the same team with the same amount of effort. So we worked on that part. So internally as a company, we first worked on that. Can we improve using AI before we serve AI to our customer? Can we make use of it and reduce our cost, make it better? So that we achieved, and I'm very proud of my team. Of they really coordinated. It was a cultural change again. You just throw at them, use AI, use AI. They're not going to use it because we all are inertial, right?
Correct.
So we have to really go down, create a setup where they're told ki every day try to report what you did, and then we have to support them also. So the
Correct.
problems we came up with, ki Prasoon, this kind of code is coming incorrectly, or I'm not able to do this. I have to be there with my team leads to
Hmm.
solve that. So that created the first thing, Tejaswini,
Hmm.
an internal cultural change. So before you sell AI to others, it's better you use it
Correct.
internally, right? To some
Yeah.
degree. Then what we realized ki wow, we're in a very good space, content, because generative content means ki the e-learnings can get generated very fast, the
Correct.
content can be generated. And the business we are in, Tejaswini, we have to test people, we have to give good content, And
Correct.
companies buy our product. Why do they buy our product? They buy our product, they give us money because there is a certain task their human team members are performing, and they want the task to be done faster. So imagine you are an insurance company, you have these insurance agents. If my solution is able to make this insurance agent learn his selling better through their
Correct.
content, our platform, they will be happy paying money, isn't it?
Mhm.
Or if we provide training so that the regulatory industries, so if agent says something wrong and makes a selling to the person, and then the person comes back to the regulatory authority, this insurance company is going to lose a lot of money. So can I create systems which can, during training, catch, you don't say this, you know?
Yeah.
That is where they pay us money. Now,
Right.
thanks to AI, the acceleration has been that I'm able to create a lot of adaptive systems for
Mm,
testing. It is
mm,
not LLM related. It is the traditional AI. We have been
mm.
doing this AI. We have created this AI based assessment, sales enablement platform. This is one of my favorite, Tejaswini. So what happens is that you understand that sales training is very classroom oriented, because the trainer will come tell how to speak, how to smile at the customer. It is not. It's unlike the training where only you need to read something and absorb.
Correct.
It's a lot of social skill also. So our AI-based sales enablement platform actually solved that problem. Ki you don't have to go and wait for a sales trainer. You can record your answer and it will grade it, and say
Right.
you did not talk about this point. This is very important. You should have said it in the first 10 seconds. So stuff like that. And we're not the only company doing it, you know.
Right.
But these are the opportunities available to all of us suddenly, with this democratized AI.
Mm.
So there's a thing. And so another thing is that we make all these assessment platforms. The
Right.
question that is thrown at you should be relevant to you. And the
Correct.
best part, which is my favorite, Tejaswini, we are working on it in a POC stage, is that you go to every night, we all go and watch our reels or Insta, whatever is your poison. We all go back to that. So imagine you get content which is very relevant to your task.
Mm.
Most of the time, the content that's shown to you is generic.
Correct.
So imagine you are a person who is working in a car dealership, let's say a client of ours, and
Mm.
this guy is having trouble doing the engine oil change, maybe an operator working in a dealership. So imagine he uses our application and he sees things around that. It is more relevant, isn't it, rather than telling him all thing about spray and pray
Correct.
kind of learning. So precision
Mm.
based learning is what we are working, and we think if we do that quickly, a lot of big market up for us.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's very interesting perspective. So when it comes to bytecasting LMS, that you've talked about hyper personalization and
Oh,
personalized learning
sorry
paths.
again.
So you've
Sorry.
talked about personalized learning paths in your LMS.
Yeah.
What are the unique considerations that arise when you're scaling AI in the education space or the learning space?
So, since your question is specific to AI and it is about, in our systems when we are facing certain challenges, what kind of, issues you face,
Right.
Uh, see, there are traditional, if you talk about the AI part, there are traditional issues. Like one is of data drift. Whatever data you trained on,
Right.
and whatever uh, vectors are coming in may not match. So the AI is not trained on those things. It will give you answers which are not very
Right.
relevant.
Yeah.
Second issue that I've seen is that AI is not as magical when you scale it up. Because for students in the see the if I were to digress a little bit and tell you a gem that I learned from my professors and teachers, there is two kind of maths. They just funny. One is this linear mathematics, and then there is non-linear mathematics.
Mm.
Now, again, I'm not going to go deep, and so don't shut your mind off, everyone. But see, most of the time we have solved problem. So linear we have solved a lot.
Mhm.
Non-linear problems are very difficult. So what great mathematicians did was that they kind of converted all non-linear problem into small linear problems,
Right.
and because of that, it is good. But this thing takes revenge when you scale up. So
Mm.
sometimes when you scale up a non-linear problem, for example, even neural network, they are non-linear. They How do they operate, we don't know, but it magically works. So
Mm.
therefore, to control that kind of setup is difficult. So it's like a genie which listens to you is good, but the time it is not in your control, you are out of your grid. So we have seen. I'm talking about Tejaswini, very big companies in AI, very big names. And these guys, we meet up some of the batchmates and we are discussing, and they are really crying over it. Ki this worked really well, but now we have about more than 1 lakh customer, and this guy is crazy. And the truth that they told me
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, was that they have to now put some rules like handwritten algorithms. So
Yeah.
it's a patchwork. But
Mm.
again, the message I'm giving is that don't believe the magic will continue. There
Right.
will be pockets where you will be left on your own. So either you patch it or you go deep down into the mathematics and fix it.
Right.
So that is another thing that I've seen with AI implementation. The initial joy, everything is good, but then hallucination comes in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
So now an advice to entrepreneurs on this is set your expectation. Let's say, for example, I was doing another. It was a keynote I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and this audience. So I was talking about AI and the beauties of GPTs and all that. Then he's asked me a very point blank question. So Prasoon, you're saying that with GPT and all this thing you're talking about, you don't have to do any work, and most of the work will be done by. So I told him, no, you will have to still do 30% of the work.
Correct.
You have to write the right prompt. And even with AI implementation, when I'm generating these questions automatically, you will have to go and review it. you
Correct.
you have to be the master and not the slave. So
Mm-hmm.
AI should be the slave. So the idea is that set the expectation with your client that it is not a magic. Tell them, believe, if they think it is a magic, they will give you a lot of pain. They will treat you like a magician. Show me the
Right.
trick. You may not have the trick that time. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are my learning.
Thank you for that, because you've pointed out two very interesting things. One is the limitations that we have, and the involvement of the human in the loop format. So, in your own experience with what you're working on currently, the LMS platform, what is the most significant limitation you have encountered at Stratbeans?
So the biggest limitation is always, it's not technology, it is how people learn. So humans are both logical and emotional minds, right? So imagine, Tejaswini, you had this nice series to watch on Netflix, but imagine next day you have a flight, so you may choose to opt out, right? So
Yeah.
your emotional state has to be in the place for doing anything, even entertainment, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, you see, the funny thing that in Netflix, so many of us, or whatever be your platform, you many nights, remember, you just keep flipping and you don't start anything, you don't watch
Yeah.
anything. So the idea is that when it comes to learning, the area we are in, just because you create great content will not induce people to watch it. So
Correct.
that is a big problem. And if you see, this is not a technical problem. It's more
Hmm.
of a mind design or emotional state problem. It's an empathy problem. So some of the techniques we make use of is gamification, wherein you create incentives, stick and carrot. So you did this training, you get 10,000 points. Now, what would you do with that 10,000 points is your worry, but we
Hmm.
give you that. So that's one kind of thing. Then you make it relevant so that, so suppose I am facing problem in changing engine oil, or if I
Hmm.
am coding, I'm not able to do a design pattern. I don't understand how adapter design pattern work. But if I start the course, it starts with 101 course key. Okay, so there was an Adam and Eve and this, and then you are like, no, I don't want to. I want to be in that zone. And this is
Hmm.
what Google also did, right? It did not make us intelligent, but it made us smarter. The Google Maps. So we all are travelers, right? Just when you've been visiting places, we don't want to learn everything. So suppose you go to Vietnam, you don't want to learn the map. Why would you? You're here for fun. You just want
Correct.
to know from point A to B if I have to reach what I need to do. So
Hmm.
there are two different things: learning and performance support. I want to perform, so I may not need to learn everything. So a
Right.
good system with AI coming in will not force people to go ahead, learn this. It will say,
Right.
"Okay, learn this much critical amount, and now micro learn it, or you don't learn it. I'll give you the answer."
Right. Right. Yeah.
So those are the things, especially the learning context, are required. Another bigger challenge. So far, Tejaswani, companies were paying us because they wanted their people, the humans, to be trained so that
Mm-hmm.
they can perform something where they make money,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now the newer problem is, as you know, ki- now even non-humans are involved, which you
Right.
may in a
Yeah.
place we call it agents. So
Correct.
now for a learning solution firm as which is preparing for future, we have
Mm-hmm.
two audiences. One is human beings to be learned through this emotional and logical pathways, and then now the agents can also learn and replace some of the humans. Less humans are
Right.
required for the same task. So the way we are imagining is that as learning solution, we will also have to create setups which can program their agents for certain performance that have to improve. So that will
Right.
not be a traditional learning activity. It is more like we have to create performance systems. And
Hmm.
there the field is open. We are no more a learning solution company. We are like any other AI company. Much like you want this task to be done, we'll set up these many agents and we'll give you two resources.
Correct. Yeah.
So that is the direction that I see here.
Right. So basically, developing an agentic AI ecosystem is what you're saying,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, as part of that, like, how do you address ethical concerns and AI bias in, these constant learning or performance systems when you're using AI? Because, like you said, after a point, we would have challenges and issues when it comes to scaling these.
Yeah.
So how do we address bias in such situations?
Good question. Various technical and human ways to solve it. So first is that we set the bar little low. We don't say that. So therefore, we work with the client. Okay, pre-sales, let the magic be there in their mind, but post-sales, you have to tell them that this is be gonna be some part will be real, because if
Right.
you make all the magic happens, you won't be able to manage it. Even
Right.
we will, but you will also not. So one practical answer is you have to first tell that AI may fail.
Hmm.
So that is built into the user experience design. So it's a very subtle thing. So suppose you start with this great explainer video which say you don't have to do anything and the content is generated. You will make sales, but then you have a lot of post sales issues. So what
Right.
we do is kind of embed in the experience design that it says you have to review this. so,
Okay.
so rather than saying, "Hey, don't worry, you don't have to be
Right.
scammy about it." So we tell them that now the workflow has gone into review phase. So you have to press a button saying, "I have reviewed this content."
Okay.
So that automatically brings in a psychological way. The person using it has to put his skin in the game. Of course, less effort, but you cannot be on a zero effort. So that's the first thing we make sure. Second is the problem with our field, the L&D field, is that the trust thing. So suppose your AI system is saying something as a teacher to you,
Hmm.
and if it is not making sense, suddenly you lose a lot of confidence.
Right.
For us, it is very important that the content be relevant. So the way we do it is, for us, it's very important to do a lot of observability of the output. We
Right.
do a good QA, and then we again don't oversell it. We say ki for this part it is very hot, do it, but then for rest of the things use traditional methods. And then there are safer grounds. For example, suppose the AI is generating assessments, then we make it a responsibility of the user, the client user, to review those questions, so that this is a shared responsibility rather than they come and say, "Hey, what did you do?" So we said, we did not do. I mean, there's a past that you missed probably. And that's how you make successful systems. It is not just technology, it is how we would interoperate and make a system successful, right?
Right. Right. Okay. So, as a CTO and the co-founder in these two roles, how do you balance technical innovation with business requirements? Obviously, we through the products that you're building, you have to deliver tangible ROI. So, how do you balance these two? In your role.
So it's like this. So if you look at all the shiny companies, Microsoft, Google, they are supposed to have a team known as R&D team, as if research is seen to be a costly activity to be done by elites, large firms. It's like a business class to happen in a plane. But if you suppose challenge that and you say, ki, let's not see it as a business class, you know, right?
Hmm.
Tejaswini, all these R&D
Yeah.
divisions are very elite. So from very initial days of my firm, when we had created a separate zone which we call as R&D team.
Right.
Initially, it was filled with just me. you know I was the only R&D guy and I had this fancy title. I loved it. But the idea is that even whatever scale you are at, you need to have that freedom, that luxury, that there is an R&D in my firm. I may be just a 10,000 INR firm, or maybe $1 million firm, or whatever. You'd still deserve a R&D, but yeah, your R&D would be of a different kind.
Yeah.
But there has to be something labeled as an R&D side of it.
Right.
So that allows you to, without tension, you can create certain feature. Otherwise, if you don't have an R&D wing, then everything you do is only for customer, and slowly you become a service house. And like Tim Christensen said, that it is innovator's dilemma, that you will then only be servicing your client for whatever you created. You will not get chance to innovate.
Right.
And so to create a balance, we have to ensure that there is a research that you do, but of course an accountable research, not that you are creating this magical gemstone and nobody can should ask you a question. So we have to create accountability. So the way we measure the KPI is that whatever R&D that we are building, did it go into the product? Okay, not 1 month down the line, 3 months down the line, maybe year down the line.
Right.
But there has to be an accountability. uh, and then whatever product you make, you have to ensure that it starts with your passion. But unless until the user validates it, ki they're liking it, you're not going to make money. So you have to have that humility, ki maybe you, this baby is yours, but how this baby is in the world is someone else's decision. So you have to see that your customer, like our customer, whatever feature I make, I had funny, examples, Tejaswini, and I'm sure you guys would have similar. There was certain feature I created. I thought these are regular vanilla side features, and these are my main LMS features. Learning course will open, assessment will happen, and I found that these sidey features. There was one feature where somebody can just put a message to their manager by passing email.
Right.
That became popular in certain customers. They were like, "This is the easiest thing." I mean, why would some? That is a humility. You may just figure out that, oh my god, this is something you thought is just a side feature. People will love it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
humility. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting. So now going a little into the global AI ecosystem and trying to understand India's place
Hmm.
currently. As someone who's from the IITs, um, and IIT is an institution which is known for its tech innovation in India and stuff. What kind of advice would you give to aspiring techies, engineers, students who want to explore the space within India from your own understanding and experience? And you also said you speak to a lot of peers from your own institution and discuss. So
So there are two layers. One is, let's look at our country, India, in the geopolitical system today. So if you see, there is one gentleman, he may not have a good night's sleep. He wakes up in the morning and gives a dictum, and the entire world shakes. So there is a huge fight right now over technology also with DeepSeek, for example. China, they people used to snub at China and think they are just manufacturing, like a photocopy shop. They can do it faster, but they amazed when they created a DeepSeek system and open sourced it, and Nvidia shook, all the stock prices fell. So so that the thing is that a global economy right now is in a very heated state. There are wars going on. There are these trade wars that have started, almost like a cold war. It has started, and it will affect us. And then this whole AI thing suddenly is a bit of is a mixture of concern. It's like 50-50, biscuit as we have in India, like salty and the sweet at the same time, depends on how you take it. So the thing is that because of AI, definitely less people are required. So look at the typical model in America. A lot of Indian resources work; they're outsourced here, and so imagine there are 100 people required. Now, because of all the code GPT revolution, you may not require as many people. So it will definitely hit us. So you
right.
may not require, let's say, 100 engineers now. You may require 10 engineers.
Mhm.
And so this is going to hit. So definitely it's going to hit. How bad, we don't know. So it's not to say that because it's going to hit, it's going to be a meteoric hit, but it will be hit. Second thing, as Indians, we have to understand that build in India, make in India, all those things have been going on. But in terms of the hardware aspect, we are still much behind. It's not about the intelligence of the engineers or the institutions. This is like a physical lag. It's like you are 100 kilometers away, then you're 100 kilometers away. You have to walk. There is no special vehicle available. Unlike software,
Right.
hardwares are real and slow. So I think one of the things that so we talked about India. So yes, there's an opportunity. At the same time, there's a threat. Now let me go down to experienced folks, and then finally I'll answer for the youngsters.
Right.
So for the experienced folks, the things that they have to do is that if you are skilled enough, people like us, try and solve some of the computational problems. we cannot have large GPU clusters. We can't afford it. We don't have the technology. We are dependent on other countries. So can we? But God is kind always. There are always methods and tricks if you think about it. So using quantization, distilling, pushing your inferences to edge devices, you can actually reduce the amount of GPU that you may require. So we may be able to do some good work there, and I'm sure government is also blessing all these projects a lot. So that is one opportunity for seniors, big leaders to work on. Then we should start solving some kind of India size problems, like vernacular OCR. So why we don't have enough? We have such beautiful data sets available, though they are fragmented. So people have to come in, collect those data sets that are there, and create something. There has to be some incentives for startups. Right now, the best minds are working on delivering your food faster or your cab coming to you. I think, I don't think that's going to take us too far. I mean, you'll reach home fast and have food fast, but after that you'll have a lot of troubles to face. So that's another part we have to look at. Then you have to reduce our wastages. So agri risk scoring kind of a thing. Can you work in agricultural technology for our country, and we can reduce the risk, somehow solve some of the supply chain problems, um, create co-pilots for different kind of workflows. So those are the opportunities. As an Indian, let's say we are privileged, like us senior leaders, so my message is we should start working on it, because we'll have to work on it one
Right.
way or the other. So we better start early. And then I would say for youngsters, good news, you may not, and the bad news at the same time, that for example, you're a person of 5 years, 10-year experience, you can just beat him down with just code GPT, and you just being on the right problem solving technique. However, you cannot replace a senior. Why? Because you will still need to know some basic principles of software when you are stuck.
Right.
The problem is you will create this giant code. Initially, it was lovely and performing, and suddenly it will be over your head. It will be, oh my God, you created a monster, and under its weight, you are dying now. So you need to learn your design principles, system architectures. So everybody has to upgrade now. You all have to become like VPs now. So if you don't spend time there, you will be creating a monster that will kill you. Your code will be there, but if somebody asks now, can you make this change? You will
Right.
not be able to do that. So yeah, so those are the things that. And for hiring perspective, don't have to hire rock stars. Just get interns, have a very good leader, and you can just do things which are done in 2 years and maybe 2 weeks. It's happening. We have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you because we rely on that model too.
lovely, lovely.
So, my last question to you for the day is, what is your vision for L&D platforms, and where do you see significant breakthroughs in the next 5 to 10 years in this space?
Okay, so this is a question often asked to me in board meetings also, because as a CTO, this is a question that I'm responsible to answer. So I think the first thing in L&D platform is that let's go by first principles. Why do people buy L&D platforms? Because there are humans, and our clients, they have certain performance to be done. They have to either sell a car, or they have to write a code, and we come in between. If the value we provide is we accelerate that part, we make it more visible also. We can
Yeah.
accelerate because we'll have give you the centralized system where you can put all that, and we are also able to create reporting for you. So you may be able to take decision. Oh my God, this particular department is not doing well. Maybe they require training. Otherwise, you cannot crystal ball the whole 10,000 people or a lakh people or 10 lakh people organization that way. So our role is that. So suppose that role is of value, then only we will survive. So to how do we accelerate that, so that that human that is there in the system and the performance he has to do. So
Right.
between human and performance, there are skills, right? So the idea that I see is that hyper personalization. So if somebody has to work on certain things in the morning, so even in coding, Tejaswini, when you're coding, a lot of data is getting emitted, but is not captured. For example, the
Right.
way you will type things, what is the first thing you wrote, when you saw a bug, which file you opened first, it's all there in the editor, but it stays there and dies there. So imagine magically, or let's say by some construct, you're able to get that performance data into a learning
Mhm.
system. It will know exactly, oh, this guy is generally good, but he
Right.
doesn't know how to indent the code. So
Mhm.
imagine the next time he's opening the portal, he gets a like just a 5 minutes brief. You have to do this mandatory one video. He talks about how to write clean code. And then maybe he's debugging something, he's stuck with thing. So problem is that right now we're not capturing that data and that is being flowed, this in the
Right.
ether space. You have to
Right.
capture that and plug it back. So that kind of a linkages of system is going to
Mm.
create a revolution. Somebody is coding, it goes into a learning system, the right amount of metadata. Okay, what is he doing? You know,
Right.
and the last part, like I said, the most interesting part where your and my universe will collide is that how do we now train these non-humans? you
Correct.
know
Yeah.
so for that again, all those technologies in past RPAs were there for a certain. Now you have agentic, which is much more powerful. So we will be creating systems which can actually be not on the learning side but performance side. Now
Right.
the system will actually tell this guy, if you're doing the oil change, the voice will come get you, don't do this, do that. So this is how we envision the whole change in the L&D industry.
Right. So what you mentioned about the whole system is very beautiful in a way that what we can look forward to. So there are some questions. There's a comment which said, "Very true indeed. Uh, it's about human and AI collaboration." Okay, so there's this question by Namrata who asks, you mentioned the bitter and salt types. Building on that, how do you see the right balance between human led training and AI assisted learning? Where should the human touch stay strong? And where can AI really step in? I'll just show you the question on screen.
Okay, so again, this is a biscuit-based question. So I think the answer is very human. If you see, uh, before this, um, just before this chat gpt revolution, which started roughly 1.5 years back, right, when
Right.
everybody started chat gpt, so that was the huge revolution. There was another revolution, not so we are not very proud of, but the COVID thing that happened. So these two things changed the industry in a certain funny coincidence, in a certain sequence. So when COVID happened, people were certain principles were broken. For example, before COVID, Namrata, Tejaswini, if you're working from home, the company had some problem or you had some problem, right? Maybe you were
Yeah.
sick, so that's why. So that created a little isolation for people. They got their space, but people missed that water cooler chats and talking to their bosses. They also some of it was easy also for them. Not they want to avoid their manager, they can, but they also realize that you also require, it's a necessary evil. You have to be around people. So that
Right.
what COVID did to us. And when this whole AI revolution happened, which is still happening, suddenly you were told you can sit at home. Maybe we don't require you as much. you
Yeah.
know so it is affecting the psyche of people a lot. So the thing is that it is going to create a lot of mental health issues, that is for sure. So the way you have to do it is you have to create also an ecosystem where people meet also. So
Right.
in a way, people are seeing that they are getting subservient to something known as AI. At a mass scale, it is happening right now, and they will be painful process. So we require, as especially for families, the support system, the original support system. It is
Right.
not a tech problem. The parents and the newer parents, and they have to understand that they have to give a lot of support to this. A lot of ups and downs. This khatta meeta that's going to happen. So family will be very important.
Yeah.
People have to be more supportive. Recently, I won't go into detail, but one of the suicide case that happened recently in one of the large firm also had the same kind of overtones. You require family to be supportive about performing, in
Right.
general. So I think that is it. You have to use AI as a slave. Don't let it become a master. That is the thing, because this time you make AI your master, you are gone. Initially, you give a prompt, it does thing, but apply your mind somewhere. Don't let it get theek hai, chal ye bhi kar de. So you should be having spin in the game. Otherwise, you will become redundant. So that's
And
the
then
way.
I'll.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I have the next question from Subramanian, who asks, you're speaking about agentic AI and creating an agentic AI ecosystem, but how can we make sure AI in learning doesn't just benefit top companies but becomes accessible for all? I think this is from a very student, young person's perspective.
So, Manim, I think the real situation is quite lucky. This is democratic AI. So this particular AI is very democratic. Everybody has access to the same thing. Unlike those kind of premium AIs where you had to know all your maths, if you have to do k-means clustering, you have to know your SVMs, neural network, back propagation. this AI that you see is very inclusive in that sense. Anybody can put $20 and get this cursor ka code, or these API services that are there. So it's very inclusive. In fact, it is the reverse. The big companies are now having tough time. Oh my God, this whole big castle that we created over the last 20 years. I mean, these bunch of backpackers, they go to one of these destination and they just code for a few months and they are competing, and there is an audience to that. They are saying, why would I pay this large firm this huge number of dollar when this guy is doing it for. So a lot of opportunities. It's the best time for you guys to be students. All these big giants. It's a David and Goliath moment. So
Yeah.
as a David, you should not worry really.
Okay, I think there is one question that came in. So, what's one thing that most companies get wrong when they try to scale AI in learning?
So I think first part of the answer is that they do the same mistake as they would do in any software. So
Right,
first ground we need to clear is that you have to understand. Don't call it AI. It's a software. It's a interesting cherry. So when you see a cake, you don't call it a cherry, right? Cherry is on top of the cakes, but the whole process is still writing code. There is
right,
even whatever you call as agent today is nothing but something we used to call as separation of concerns. So whenever we were making a scalable code, we will do. Even the reason why C++ language came was because C was this powerful language, can do anything. So its power was reduced. Actually, if you see when in encapsulation and those concepts, you reduce the power of C language. C was more powerful. It was made a little less powerful so that it can be scaled. It should not be each part can go anywhere. So I think the whole idea is that these things, you have to tame it by doing it in a certain correct procedural way. Don't go totally out of whack on that. That's the thing I see about it.
right. So those are the questions we had for the day, Prasoon. And as I conclude today's session, I'd like to convey a heartfelt thank you to you for sharing real world strategies and insights. I mean, with your experience at the helm of innovation at Stratbeans, today's conversation has been full of depth, direction, and actionable takeaways for anyone from a student to someone who is an entrepreneur building AI products. So at Coastal 7, we believe in building a future where AI is not just intelligent, but also intentional and responsible. So,
Yeah.
really, thanks for attending this session.
And Tejaswini, thanks a lot. It is a great opportunity. It's a nice feeling to be representing certain questions because it allowed me time to think about few things that I probably was not thinking. Allows me to prepare. So thanks a lot for giving this nice opportunity.
Thank you so much. And I hope today's discussion for all the audience who have attended and listened to us is a step forward in the direction. And we hope that it left all of you with fresh ideas and actionable strategies and a renewed sense of purpose in your AI journey. So, thank you again. Follow us on Coastal 7 Consulting LinkedIn page for AI news updates and innovation from across all 7 continents. Thank you.